Today, a judge made a rare move in the case against a funeral home owner accused of mishandling nearly 200 remains at a funeral home in Penrose. He rejected a plea deal that would have sent Jon Hallford to prison for 20 years. Thanks for joining us. I'm Alexandra Lewis.
I'm Kim Christensen. The judge said he's never done that before, but he said after listening to pleas from victims' families in court, he decided the punishment didn't fit the crime. 9 News reporter Steve Steger listened to that hearing. Steve?
Yeah, prosecutors argued to the judge during that hearing that the victims of the Return to Nature funeral home learned about all the elements of this plea, but couldn't provide the court with a number of how many of them supported the deal. Those who spoke out in court made it crystal clear they did not.
For 4 years, I carried someone else's human, while my own child laid abandoned, dishonored, and eaten away. That in itself is cruelty beyond words.
One by one,
What did you do with my son?
they told different stories.
The weight of the box of concrete that I was handed and led to believe were the remains of my mother will forever be carried by me. I chose these monsters.
But these victims were united in the same message.
Please reject this plea deal.
Family members of the nearly 190 people found decomposing inside the Return to Nature funeral home in Penrose were here Friday, expecting a sentencing for the man behind their pain. Jon Hallford took a guilty plea in state court in exchange for a 20-year sentence that would have run concurrently with a sentence in a federal court case.
A 20-year concurrent sentence of which only a fraction may be served does not reflect the scope of devastation these crimes have caused.
There's no justice in that. That does not feel like justice to me.
We deserve to confront the truth. The plea bargain silences those answers forever. It protects him from accountability while leaving us with questions that will haunt us for the rest of our lives.
El Paso County Judge Eric Bentley was listening.
I was stunned by the articulate nature and the heartbreaking nature of what I heard this morning. It's hard to find words to describe the conduct of the defendant that violated every norm of a civilized society and victimized grieving people at their moment of greatest vulnerability.
Bentley did something he said he's never done in his judicial career, rejected Hallford's plea agreement. Through some emotion, he explained why.
I find it does not adequately take into account the extent of the harm inflicted or the vulnerability of the victims at the time that they were victimized.
So what happens now? Both sides will be back in court in 2 weeks. Hallford can decide whether or not he wants to withdraw his plea. If he does, everything starts from scratch, and this case could head to trial. Live in studio, Steve Steger, 9 News.
Boy, that judge really heard them, and it's like the dignity part. I think he realized that dignity was taken away.
Yeah, and you know, it was striking listening to them. So many of them want this case to go to trial because they say they have so many unanswered questions from this, and they worry about what happened to their loved ones may kind of go under wraps and never be answered if they don't hear the evidence presented in court. So they argued a lot for that. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of weeks and what decision Jon Hallford makes.
Yeah, you learn a lot when you go to court, even though it's hard. All right, thank you, Steve.